Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to another edition of my podcast. It's fantastic to be here and to be sharing some tried, tested and proven ways in which you can grow your business. Now, one of the things that I've gone on about for years and years and years, and I've tried to do this for myself, is to not rely on exchanging time for money. You know, it's an old and very long, it's just a very frustrating, I think, way of running a business where, I have an hourly rate and whatever that is, I get paid that amount of money and I do as many hours as I can and I finish up, working, 8-10 hours a day, and then I go back in the evening and start actually running my business, doing my marketing, doing the financial side. And it really is, I think, not an effective way of really running a business. Now, don't get me wrong, I do this myself. I spend some of my time exchanging time for money. But my real passion is what I can do that doesn't just purely exchange time for money. What can I do that leverages my time? And what can I do that enables me to get more out of my time so that I'm actually paid, rather than an hourly rate, I'm paid for what I've done rather than what I do. Now, I'm very lucky to be joined today by a very good friend of mine called Michael Brook. Now, Michael and I have known each other for, I dread to think now, it must be, probably over 15 years. And we started off, working with each other in business. We've done several seminars and things like that together. And over that time, as I said, we've become really good friends. Now, Michael has been very effective at creating products and helping people to leverage their time. So he's not only done it for himself, but he's also now helping other people to do that. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Michael Brook, my good friend and business expert, also a filmmaker and product creator, onto the webinar. So it's great to be here and talking to you. Welcome, Michael.
And welcome to my little office, Steve. And here you are in my office. Who can believe it? You're so many miles away, and here you are.
Oh, do you know, I love the world of technology, isn't it incredible? I spend, talk about leverage time. I used to spend my time, well, most of it, traveling up and down the country, meeting people, 2 hours here, driving back in the rain, can't find anywhere to park, and it was horrendous. And I do probably that's an exaggeration, probably about 80% of my meetings are now online. So that hour meeting that used to take 3 hours with an hour there and an hour back now only takes an hour. And boy, does it make a big difference. Not only that, I save, a lot of time. And I suppose at the end of the day, it's good for the planet as well, Michael.
It certainly can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to kick off by just sort of telling the listeners about what you've done in terms of leveraging your time, and then talk a little bit about what you're doing for other people?
Okay, well, I just have to take you back a little way. When I first started my working for myself, and I kicked off my first business back in 1999, and that was a training consultancy. I'd worked hard in the pharmaceutical industry, got a degree of confidence and lots of skills, so I felt like I could go on my own and set up my own training business and coaching consultancy. And during that time, I was working for a really large client, and it's a high street name. It's one that you'll all know. It was Pentax, and I was working for them across the whole of Europe. I was working in 6 different European countries. We were rolling out one of my training programs, which was Advanced Sales Development System at the time, which is 7 modules. And they decided that they wanted me to translate that into 6 different European languages, which was fine.
Wow.
And that was not a problem at all. But then they decided that they wanted me to convert all my training materials into video so that they could share it with their whole European enterprise without me being there.
Wow.
Now, that was my first problem, because although as a youth I'd grown up with a camera in my hand and made short videos and stuff like that. But to actually create videos and distribute it across a European network with people that needed a secure login, now this is where I started to scratch my head. And back then, there wasn't all the plugins that there are now. There wasn't all the YouTube videos telling me how to do everything. So I really did have to work this stuff out for myself. But once I had worked it out for myself, not only did I create that whole program for Pentax and roll it out across Europe on a secure login and on a platform we call an online learning portal, and I still create these to this day, I got hooked. And I started creating product not only for other people, but for ourselves as well. And but now I make my own products. I make my own video products, which are probably the most popular. But more importantly, those video products are actually multimedia products. So it's not just videos. If we do create a video product, the chances are it's audio with PDF downloads as well. The trick is to put it on a platform where people can access it anywhere.
Okay.
And now we make products for ourselves, of course, constantly. But we also make products for other people who come to us and say, we've got an idea, or we are fed up of what we call in the business, we call it swapping our time for money. But they don't usually say that. They usually come to us and say, "Do you know what? I'm tired. I'm
working really hard." Yeah, well, it's like you're traveling around Europe doing. I know how hard work doing a training course is, both mentally and physically. And if you're traveling around Europe doing those, it's great. I'm sure you got a great daily rate and all that sort of stuff. But to be able to do it all over the world without being there is just phenomenal, isn't it? It's such a, it is one of the ways how technology has changed the way we do things.
Yeah, it is, and it's just as well, because I was getting tired.
Yeah, you and I both.
It's very tiring.
Yeah. Yeah. So, people, let me just clarify what we're talking about here. We're talking about producing information-related products, ideas, basically passing on someone's skills and experience and turning it into something that enables you to sell it many times. An example from my world, I do a lot of LinkedIn training, and people come along to my day, and that's great. But I can then turn it into things like webinars and online programs and so on and so forth. So that's basically what we're talking about here.
That's absolutely what we're talking about. I always say to people, you've spent your life developing a lot of experience, expertise and know-how, and this is your opportunity to create product, usually an educational product or an informational product, out of your own expertise, experience and know-how, so that you can then go on to distribute that product, that information, as far and wide as you like. And people talk about passive income. People talk about evergreen income. Now, I'm not a big fan of the word passive income, only because it's not usually passive and there's an awful lot of effort goes into doing it.
Sure.
But it certainly does create an income whilst you rest, whilst you sleep, while you holiday. And it can become an income where you don't have to do anything else. You just use that product to create your income. But often for people, I find they use it as a supplementary income or another income stream from the knowledge that they already had. So it doesn't have to replace anything. It can sit nicely alongside your current working practices, whether you're a trainer, you're a coach, a health expert, whatever that might be. It can sit nicely alongside what you already do.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really good advice. Now, couple of things. Firstly, we know I've invited Michael on today to talk about a webinar that he's running. So I'm going to ask him to talk about that. But before he does, I want to just, for a couple of minutes, Michael, just tell us a little bit about what I think are the two big issues with this. Excuse me. I just had to cough there. A couple of big issues. Firstly, how do you produce the program itself? And then secondly, and obviously this is something I'm passionate about, what are your thoughts regarding marketing that product? Now, I know, in the next 2 or 3 minutes, you can't explain all that in detail, but just for people who are maybe thinking, this might be a good idea, this might be something that I ought to do. What are, I don't know, a couple of tips or your thoughts on how to produce the product and how to then market that product?
Great question, Steve. It really is a good question, because in actual fact, when people think about creating a product, they've usually got this idea in their head based on their own experience, their expertise, and their skills and their know-how. And it's there. It's a well-formed idea in their head. But when it comes to actually thinking about how do you do this, that's when they get stumped. And it seems to be quite a big problem for them to solve. But in actual fact, what we do, and that's what I'm going to be talking about on my webinar on Friday, is how you can break that task down into 4 simple steps, where you start to think about your concept, you start to formulate that concept and create it break it down into a product. You then need to create the product, and that's the bit that people often think about, the shooting of it or the recording of it, the creation of it. And then the 4th step is to distribute it and to publish it. So those are the 4 simple steps. You get the idea, you get that crystallized in your mind, then you create a plan and a structure, because the secret is a really great structure. Because sometimes, even when people I work with a lot of training people who present present information every day, but unless they break that work that they do every day down into a tight structure, it still seems to get away from them. And then the 3rd step is where you actually create the product, where you actually film it, and it's nowhere near as complicated as you might think. You don't need the amount of expensive resources as you might imagine, and it can be done quite simply, even on your iPhone. And then once you've created that product, and you might have created it into 4 or 5 different videos, you then need to publish that product in a way that can be distributed to your audience simply.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done my Association of Prudent Marketing program, which is my sort of leverage program, and it's so I've spent probably a couple of £100 literally setting myself up in a little like studio area in my office, and I just get going. It's almost like you just got to do it, haven't you? You can't just go, well, let's leave it until it's absolutely perfect, and keep going for new edits and so on. As long as it's good enough, you've got to get it out there, I think.
I've got to say that you're more prolific at video creation than me. I
have got 1 or 2, I must admit.
You are world class at getting these things out there. And
I think I must have over 250 YouTube videos. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
It's true. And so what about marketing then? What about, you got this great product, you produced it, it looks good, everybody's, everybody who sees it love it. How do you get it out there?
Okay, well, I've got to, it's worth telling your audience actually, Steve, that Steve Mills has actually taught me just about everything I know about marketing. So it's worth making that point. So I will be, as far as you're concerned, Steve, teaching you how to suck a few eggs.
Sure.
The first thing that you need to do here is make sure that your social media is working for you.
Yeah.
So once you've created that product, obviously you will be distributing it. You might even be distributing it on something like YouTube. But you need to be able to use YouTube to host little bits of your product so people can access it and see it.
Yeah. It's giving them that teaser copy, isn't it? And then, there's nothing like, I don't think, in business, like being able to show somebody something, giving them a sample, giving them a demo, giving them a little slice of the cake in order to get them to want more of it. And I think that's, it doesn't matter what you sell. If you can do that, you'll do very well in business.
That's right. And I think I'm a big believer in the phrase "givers gain."
Yeah.
So anything that you can give away, don't think that you're giving away money, because you're not. When you start to give away bits of your product so people can experience you and experience your knowledge and expertise and know-how, the next step is that they buy from you. But the chances of them buying from you without them knowing much about you or not experiencing what you do is very small and remote. But if you can start to see your way to giving away things so people can experience you and experience your products, your knowledge, your sales are going to grow. And the other part of that, of course, is to use your social media to make sure that you spread the word far and wide so that people know that you've got product to buy, but also you've got product to give away so that they know where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just coming in with my own thoughts on marketing, I think what Michael said is absolutely spot on in terms of, social media. That is a great opportunity. But I've always also believed in, multiple streams of income. That's something I learned from Jay Abraham, who's one of the world's leading marketing experts, probably, 25 years ago. And if you look at anybody who's successful in life and business, they all have often they have multiple businesses with multiple products, with multiple ways of going to market. So the truth of the matter as far as marketing is concerned, I know Michael's going to share with you some thoughts on the webinar, but it's all about finding ways that work and then improving them and improving them and improving them, and then looking at a new way that works and doing the same to that. So whether it's email, social media, your website, your blog, your pay-per-click advertising, remarketing, and so on and so forth, all these can work for you. It's just a matter of whether they do or don't, because let's face it, marketing doesn't always work. It's just a fact. And one of my little sayings that I picked up a couple of years ago, probably from somebody else, is that it's not that you're doing the wrong marketing, it's you're doing the right marketing, but you're doing it wrong. Because let's face it, we don't always get it right the first time. We try this, and then often what I see in businesses, they try something. They try email marketing, and they send 2 or 3 emails out. It doesn't work, and so they go off and do something else. Now, I often in life and in business have got it wrong, but I keep going and keep going and keep going, and I eventually get it right. And I think that's often the difference between success and failure, just never giving up, just keeping going and proving that you can get this to work. Because, what we're talking about here is a fantastic opportunity for anybody who wants to leverage their time. But, the bottom line is it'll only work. It's not going to work by just producing a load of really good content and hoping that people will come and buy your stuff. You've got to be good at marketing that content too. So that's really important. So we're coming towards the end of our time together. Sorry, were you going to say something, Michael?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you talked there about the importance of multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And we both recognise how important that is, Steve. But I think one of the ways of generating multiple streams of income is to think about what you know, what you're an expert in, you're skilled at, and creating that product. Because once you do, if you think about it, if you start to create what we might call the big hero, big blockbuster product, that can often be broken down into sections. So that gives you maybe 3 or 4 products. Got the video product that you can break down into an audio giveaway or an audio product to sell. You can then create your blog out of that. You can also do a podcast out of that information.
It's all about I agree. It's all about leveraging it, isn't it?
That's it. And you've created one product that you can use many, many, many times over.
Do you know what? A few years ago, must be, best part of 10 years ago, I produced a video program. Sorry, no, it wasn't. It was an audio program on CD. All right, it was called Raise Your Game. And the idea was every month I put a CD in the post. I recorded it pretty much like we're doing now over audio, put it onto CD and sent it out every month. And I used to give the first month's copy away to people when I spoke at events and things. One day, I'm speaking at the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in London. I've got about 40 people in the room. At the end, I give everybody a copy of my CD. And at 8:30 the following morning, one of the people said, I listened to your CD. One of the people phoned me up and said, I listened to your CD last night on the way home. I was round at my fellow directors at 6:30 this morning, and we've both listened to it, and we want your help with marketing. And I won a £2,000 a month client just by giving away a CD that had taken me 45 minutes to produce. And that is a great example, I think, of the power of this, the positioning of it. It positions you as a real expert because you've written a program on it. You know, you've got a program, or if it's a book or whatever it is. It's a fantastic tool, I think. So Michael, tell everybody a little bit more about this webinar you're doing then. What you're going to cover, and when is it, and how do people get onto it?
Okay, so on Friday we're running a webinar. Friday morning, 9:30, we're running a webinar where I will walk you through the 4 stages of product creation. So I'll talk you through about the first stage, the second stage, which is incredibly exciting. Once you grasp the second stage, which is about creating solution frameworks out of your expert knowledge, that everything absolutely falls into place at that point. And when I talk to people about our solution frameworks, the penny absolutely drops, and they just cannot believe how simple it can be. So we'll talk about the first stage, the second stage. Then we'll talk to you a little bit about some tips, really, about how to film or record or produce your product, and then how to actually publish your product so you can send it out to lots and lots of people across lots and lots of different countries and continents if necessary.
Okay, fantastic. And so that's 9:30 UK time, yeah?
9:30 UK time.
Okay.
Friday morning, this Friday coming.
Okay.
And if you go to my website, which is myexpertiseonline.uk, you can go there and you can find access. But I know, Steve, when you send out this recording, you'll be giving people access to that.
I will, yeah. I'm going to put a link underneath the audio program, the podcast, with a link to exactly where people can go to register. So I'll definitely do that, yeah. Okay. So
we'd love to see you all there. We'd love to speak to you on that webinar. So if you've got any interest at all, if you think it's something like you'd like to do now or something you'd like to do in the near future, you must come along. You're going to find some nuggets of gold in there that's going to really help. Fantastic.
And just by way of an endorsement, I've actually been on one of Michael's previous webinars where he covered the same stuff, and boy, is he right. It was really, really useful, really fantastic information, and really well worth taking an hour out just to get a better understanding of what you should be doing. One final point, Michael, before we finish. I know when I introduce you as a business filmmaker. So I'm just thinking that perhaps there are people listening to the podcast who are interested in that, because the production of video is really the way forward, I think, on as far as marketing's concerned and digital marketing. So if somebody is wanting a corporate type video, or a video producing for their website or something like that, what should they do that you could help them with?
Okay, well, first of all, I think it's fair to say that every business needs video at some point right now. There is no getting away from it. Every business needs video. And, for the last 5 or 6 years now, I've been making corporate videos, businesses that come to me to get me to make a video for different things. Sometimes it's an explanatory video, sometimes it's a hero video where they make a big thing about somebody in their audience. It can be a product video. Lots of different ways of doing it, but nonetheless, video is so important. And if you'd like to know more about my video business, go to aboutmybusinessvideo.co.uk and you'll find all you need to know about working with me so that we can, or even just finding out how to make video for yourself. We've got programs on there that show you how to make a video with your iPhone. You don't have to use me. You can go on there and learn how to make a business video on your iPhone, the phone in your pocket.
Really cool. Thank you ever so much, Michael. Really appreciate your time in being here. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to today's podcast. And I look forward to speaking with you soon, sharing some more tried, tested and proven ideas to grow your business. Thanks very much for listening.